Pay raises, they're a pretty big deal in the military. Everybody always wants to make more money. Now, the military did get a pay raise at the beginning of January, but did you know there's another pay raise on the 1st of April? Whether that's coming up or it's already passed, I want to break it down so that way you know how much more you're making. And it's actually a lot better than what that pay raise was at the beginning of the year, because that one was like what, a 3%, 4%, whatever it was pay raise, where this one's a more significant pay raise. So we're going to break it down for the different ranks, but the only individuals that it affects is E1 through E5. So let's start things off with an E1. Now, this is an E1 that's been in the military for more than 4 months. If you've still initial training, then it's going to be obviously a little bit less, but more than 4 months, less than 2 years. The beginning of the year, that individual will be making $2,108. That bumps up April 1st to $2,319, which is an increase of $211. So a much bigger increase than maybe some individuals that you talk to that are currently in the military, been in the military, are used to. This is a much bigger percentage. Now, if you're not familiar with the military system, I'm not going to get too in depth, but just know this is only base pay, and you get base pay twice a month. You're going to get it on the 1st and the 15th of that month. Now, that amount, like in the case here, this E1, $2,908, they get split in half. They get half of it on the 1st of the month, the other half on the 15th of the month, and then taxes still have to get taken out, and tax scenarios vary based on what state you're from and all sorts of other kind of things. But this is only base pay. This is not accounting for if you're like married, then you're going to get additional money for housing. And then if you're single, you don't have to pay rent because you have free housing. So just kind of keep some things in mind. But let's move over to an E2. As an E2 at the beginning of the year was making $2,363, but as of April 1st, that bumps up to $2,599, which is an increase of $236. An E3 at the beginning of the year, $2,485, but they bump up to $2,733. So now come April 1st, they're making $248 more than they were making at the beginning of the year. Now, just to clear things up, right, if you already joined prior to April 1st, you just get the pay raise April 1st. If you join after April 1st, then you just start making this amount. I feel like I have to clear that up because there was some people that didn't seem to understand that in my previous breakdown video kind of explaining how pay works. But let's move to an E4. Now, again, this is still less than 2 years. In some cases, most people have probably been in an E4, they've already been in the military for longer than 2 years. But if someone comes in the military as an E4 because you had a bachelor's degree, well, at the beginning of the year, you'd be making $2,752. But if you come in after April 1st or just have been in the military all the way through April 1st, then it bumps up to $3,027 per month. And that is an increase of $275. Now, this pay increase does it affect E1 through E5, does not affect anybody above E5. So E6 and above doesn't affect. So I also want to mention about E5, but a lot of these, or all of these that I've been talking about, are for individuals that have been in the military for less than 2 years. You're not going to be probably in the military for less than 2 years and be an E5, maybe in a few rare cases, but for the majority of people, they've been in the military for more than 2 years. So in this kind of breakdown for an E5, I have it in more of a common kind of scenario, such as probably someone who's been in the military for 4 to 6 years. So E5, 4 to 6 years, more common, right? At the beginning of the year, they would be making $3,517, but April 1st, that bumps up to $3,802, which is an increase of $285. So a lot of these pretty much like $200, $100 increases, pretty good increase compared to before, where normally it's like maybe like $50 more, $30 more, not as significant. So this is a lot better of an increase in pay for this April 1st pay raises that everybody's getting in the military. Now, a downside I can kind of see maybe on this is the pay gap between like E5 and E6, because, typically, if you're getting more responsibility, you want to make more money. So previously, if you were going from an E5 to an E6, that was about a $400 pay raise, right? So let's say if you were an E5 and you got promoted to E6, let's say February of 2025, that was a good jump in pay, right? That was about $400, in pay that you were jumping up. But now with this one, it's only about a little more than $100. So for some people, they're going to be a little mad about that. They're going to be like, I got a lot more responsibility. I'm moving up from, an E5 to an E6 and I'm only making $100 more. So that may be a little bit of a bummer, but that kind of shortens the gap. But for those individuals like prior to that, it's a nice kind of pay jump for everybody getting to make a little bit more money per month. Is it enough though? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Would you like to see them make more? I'm sure everybody wants to make more, but I think it's at least a, a nice step in the right direction type of thing to kind of help the military make more money, especially for some jobs during certain time frames. It's very dangerous to be in the military. Other times, maybe not so much, but nonetheless, it's a very risky job during certain times of, things that are going on and what you're doing and all sorts of things. So it's a nice step into the right direction to kind of keep up with things. But now, if you're not familiar with like how pay really works in the military, there's other factors and other pay, especially like if you're married, you're going to make more money because you're going to be making extra money for your housing allowance, for food and everything. If you're single, well, you don't have to pay rent because you have on-post housing you get to live in that you don't have to pay anything for to live in type of thing, in the barracks type of thing. So there's other factors in there. And there's possibly a video that pops up on screen that you can learn a little bit more about how the pay works. If you want to learn about that and if you're not familiar with it, cool. Then you can kind of learn about it a little bit more. But nonetheless, hopefully if you stuck around for this video, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate you for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.